The stars shimmered against the black void of space as the massive ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was enormous, stretching nearly 3 kilometers from end to end. Its hull gleamed with a dark purple metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Smaller ships surrounded it like children following their mother, each one still larger than anything humanity had ever built. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Vigilant, staring at the screen that showed the alien fleet. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded in her chest. This was the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries. They were not alone in the universe. But the question remained, were these visitors friends or enemies? The communications officer turned to her with wide eyes. "Admiral, they're sending a message." "It's in perfect English." Sarah nodded slowly. "Put it through." The screen flickered and a face appeared. It was humanoid, but clearly alien. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern on its face, and its skin was a deep blue color with golden markings that seemed to glow faintly. When it spoke, its voice was deep and filled with something that sounded like amusement. "Humans of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Kaldreth Imperium. We have traveled far to reach your primitive world. You should feel honored." Sarah kept her expression neutral. Years of military training helped her maintain composure. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, representing the United Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our solar system, Commander. We hope this meeting can be the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples." Vexthor's 4 eyes seemed to focus on her, and then he did something unexpected. He laughed. It was not a friendly laugh. It was the kind of laugh someone makes when they see something ridiculous. "Peaceful relations?" Vexthor's voice dripped with mockery. "You misunderstand your situation, human. The Kaldreth Imperium does not make friends with lesser species. We make vassals. You will submit to our rule, pay tribute, and serve the Imperium. In return, we will allow you to continue existing." Sarah felt anger rise in her chest, but she forced it down. Behind her, she could hear the other officers shifting uncomfortably. This was not going as anyone had hoped. "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice calm. Vexthor's expression changed to something that might have been a smile, though it looked more like a predator showing its teeth. "Then we will demonstrate why 47 star systems have chosen to bow before us rather than resist. Your little ships are amusing, Admiral Chen. They remind me of toys my offspring played with when they were young." On the screen beside Vexthor's face, images appeared. They showed Earth's defense fleet, the 12 ships that represented humanity's best military technology. Compared to the Kaldreth vessels, they looked tiny and fragile. The images zoomed in to show the fusion drives, the railguns, the missile pods. Technology that humanity was proud of suddenly looked ancient and inadequate. "We have been watching your world for some time," Vexthor continued. "Your colonies on Mars house fewer than 50,000 individuals. Your outpost on Europa is even smaller. You have not even managed to leave your own star system. Yet you call yourselves a civilization?" He laughed again. "The Kaldreth Imperium controls 47 star systems, Admiral. We have 300 warships. Each one could destroy your entire fleet single-handedly." Sarah clenched her fist behind her back where the camera could not see. "We may be young as a spacefaring species, but we have the right to determine our own future." "Rights?" Vexthor seemed genuinely puzzled. "Rights are given by the strong to the weak. The Imperium is strong. Earth is weak. Therefore, the Imperium decides what rights you have." He leaned forward, his 4 eyes gleaming. "I will give you 30 of your Earth days to prepare for your integration into the Imperium. Use this time wisely. Gather your leaders. Prepare your people for their new reality. In 30 days I will return and Earth will bend its knee." "And if we need more time to consider?" Sarah asked. "Then consider this," Vexthor said, and the screen changed again. This time it showed a planet green and blue like Earth. Then a flash of light and the planet's surface erupted in flames. Cities vanished in seconds. Oceans boiled away. In less than a minute, the world was dead. Nothing but a burning rock. This was the world of the Torvan people. They chose to resist. They no longer exist. "Do you understand, Admiral Chen?" Sarah felt cold despite the warm air on the bridge. "I understand. Excellent. I will broadcast this conversation across the galaxy, so all may witness Earth's submission. It will serve as a reminder to others who might consider resistance." Vexthor's expression softened slightly, becoming almost pitying. "Do not feel ashamed, human. Every species reaches this moment when they realize how small they truly are in the universe. The wise ones accept it and survive. The foolish ones choose pride over survival. I hope you will be wise. The screen went dark. Sarah stood in silence for a long moment, aware that every eye on the bridge was watching her. Finally, she turned to her communications officer. Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we need an immediate meeting with the World Council. All members. No exceptions. Yes, Admiral, the officer replied, her voice shaking slightly. Sarah looked back at the screen, which now showed the alien fleet hovering at the edge of the solar system. They were not hiding. They were not worried. They sat there like predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. But as Sarah stood there, she allowed herself a small, barely visible smile. Vexthor had made a mistake. He had assumed that what he could see was all there was. He had assumed that Earth's visible military was all they had. He had assumed that humanity had been sitting idle in their single solar system, building nothing but toys. He had assumed wrong. Admiral, her second-in-command, Captain Rodriguez, stepped closer. What do we do? Sarah turned to him, and now her smile was more visible. We let them think they've won, Captain. We let them think we're terrified. And in 30 days, when they come back expecting us to surrender, she paused, looking back at the alien ships. We show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. Rodriguez looked confused. But Admiral, our fleet cannot possibly stand against them. They're right about that. Our visible fleet, Sarah corrected him quietly. They know nothing about what we've really been building. They know nothing about the Phantom Fleet. Rodriguez's eyes widened in understanding, but he said nothing more. Around the bridge, the officers who had the proper clearance began to realize what was about to happen. Those who did not have clearance simply looked confused, wondering why their admiral seemed almost pleased after such a humiliating conversation. Far away, across the galaxy, other species watched the broadcast that Vexthor had promised. They saw Earth's primitive ships. They heard the ultimatum. Some felt pity for the humans. Others felt amusement. A few felt relief that it was Earth and not them facing the Imperium's wrath. None of them knew the truth. None of them suspected that humanity had been preparing for this day for over a century. None of them could imagine what was hiding in the dark spaces between the stars, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The galaxy thought it knew Earth's strength. They thought they understood humanity's capabilities. They were about to learn that humans had mastered the art of deception, and the Kaldrith Imperium had just walked into the greatest trap in galactic history. The year was 2180, more than a century before the Kaldrith arrived at Earth's doorstep. Dr. James Okafor sat in his laboratory deep beneath the surface of Antarctica, staring at numbers that should not be possible. His hands trembled as he ran the calculations for the 5th time. The result was always the same. He had discovered a way to fold space, not the theoretical wormholes that scientists had dreamed about for centuries. This was real, stable, controllable. He called them phantom gates because they could open and close without leaving any trace behind. A ship could travel through one and appear light years away in seconds. James knew what this meant. It meant humanity could reach the stars, but it also meant something else, something that made his stomach twist with anxiety. If humans could do this now, what else was out there? What other civilizations had already mastered space travel? And would they be friendly? He picked up his phone and made a call that would change everything. Director Chen, this is Dr. Okafor. I need to speak with you immediately. It's about the wormhole project. It worked. 3 days later, James sat in a room with 12 of the most powerful people on Earth. Military leaders, scientists, politicians who had been elected to secret positions that the public never knew existed. They called themselves the World Security Council, but most people had never heard of them. Director Margaret Chen, Sarah Chen's grandmother, led the meeting. She was a sharp woman with gray hair and eyes that seemed to see right through people. Dr. Okafor, explain it to us in simple terms. Can we really travel to other star systems? James nodded. Yes, Director. The Phantom Gates work. I've tested them successfully 3 times with unmanned probes. We can open a doorway to anywhere we can calculate the coordinates for. The journey is instantaneous. A general named Harrison leaned forward. And you're certain this technology is stable? We're not going to accidentally create a black hole that swallows the Earth? The mathematics are solid, General. But there's something else. James brought up an image on the screen. When I sent the 3rd probe through a gate to a nearby star system, it detected something. Radio signals. Not natural ones, artificial. Someone else is out there. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Director Chen was the first to speak. Then we have a decision to make. Do we announce this discovery to the world, or do we keep it secret? The people have a right to know, one politician argued. This is the greatest discovery in human history, and it could also cause panic, another countered. If people know there are aliens out there and we have no idea if they're friendly, society could collapse. Religion, economy, everything would be affected. Director Chen raised her hand for silence. There's another option. We keep it secret and use this time to prepare. If there are hostile civilizations out there, we need to be ready before we meet them. Prepare how? General Harrison asked. We expand in secret, Director Chen said slowly, the plan forming as she spoke. We build ships, establish bases, create a hidden fleet, not in our solar system where anyone watching could see, but in the dark spaces between stars. We keep our visible military small and primitive looking. Let any observers think we're still trapped on Earth. Meanwhile, our real strength grows in the shadows. James felt a chill run down his spine. You're talking about deceiving the entire human race, and any aliens who might be watching? I'm talking about survival, Director Chen replied. If we announce this technology and expand openly, we paint a target on our backs. Every aggressive species in the galaxy will see us as either a threat or easy prey. But if we appear weak while secretly becoming strong, we have options. We can choose when and how to reveal ourselves. The vote was close, but the decision was made. The Phantom Gate technology would remain classified at the highest level. A new organization was created to manage it, something beyond even the World Security Council. They called it the Void Initiative. Dr. James Okafor became its first chief scientist. His job was to refine the technology and find ways to keep it hidden. He succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Within 5 years, he had developed stealth systems that made ships invisible to almost any form of detection. Gravitational lensing bent light around the vessels. Quantum masking hid their energy signatures. They could be right next to someone and never be seen. The Void Initiative began building, not on Earth where satellites and curious eyes might notice. They built their shipyards in deep space in the dark regions between stars where nobody had any reason to look. They found rogue planets, worlds that drifted through space without orbiting any sun, and hollowed them out to create massive hidden bases. Captain Marcus Riley was 25 years old when he was recruited into the Phantom Fleet in 2205. He had been a fighter pilot in the regular military, one of the best, when 2 agents in black suits appeared at his door with an offer he could barely believe. What you're telling me sounds like science fiction, Marcus had said, sitting in the back of an unmarked vehicle as it drove him to a location he couldn't identify. It did to us too, at first, one of the agents replied. But it's real, Captain Riley, and we need pilots who can handle the unknown. People who can keep secrets. Your psychological profile suggests you're perfect for this. They had taken him to a Phantom Gate hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. Marcus remembered stepping through it and appearing in a place that looked like empty space but was actually 30 light-years from Earth. There, floating in the darkness, was a shipyard building vessels unlike anything he had ever imagined. For the next 80 years, Marcus trained and flew missions that nobody on Earth knew about. He explored distant star systems. He mapped potential threats. He became the best pilot in a fleet that didn't officially exist. People called him Ghost because he could slip through any defense system without being detected. By 2287, when the Caldreth made contact, the Phantom Fleet numbered over 3,000 ships. They were stationed throughout the galaxy, hiding in plain sight. Some were in the Oort cloud at the edge of the solar system. Others lurked near alien civilizations, watching and learning. A few were even in Caldreth space itself, observing the Imperium's tactics and technology. The Void Initiative was no longer run by Director Chen. She had died decades ago, proud of what she had started. Now it was managed by something called Oracle, though nobody except the highest-ranking members knew exactly what Oracle was. Some said it was a council of scientists and military leaders. Others whispered that it was an advanced artificial intelligence created to guide humanity's secret expansion. Whatever Oracle was, it had successfully kept Earth secret for over a century. The visible military remained small and simple, using fusion drives and conventional weapons that looked primitive compared to what other species possessed. Mars and Europa were colonized, but only lightly, giving the impression that humanity was still struggling with basic space travel. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Humans had become the most advanced explorers in the galaxy. They had mapped more star systems than the Kaldrith Imperium had conquered. They had developed weapons that made Kaldrith technology look ancient. Singularity torpedoes that could create miniature black holes. Causality cannons that hit targets before they were even fired. Reality fracture missiles that could tear holes in the fabric of space itself. But they had never used these weapons in anger. The Phantom Fleet had remained hidden, watching, waiting, hoping they would never need to reveal themselves. The strategy was simple. Appear weak, remain undetected, and only show strength when absolutely necessary. When Vex Thor's fleet appeared and delivered its ultimatum, Oracle made a decision. The time for hiding was over. Humanity had played the role of the weak newcomer for 100 years. Now they would show the galaxy what humans were really capable of. Marcus Ghost Riley received his orders directly from Oracle. Captain, prepare the Phantom Fleet for full deployment. In 30 days, when the Kaldrith return, we will decloak every ship, every weapon. We will show them that underestimating humanity was the greatest mistake the Kaldrith Imperium ever made. Marcus smiled as he read the orders. He had spent his entire adult life preparing for this moment. He had given up a normal life, friends, even the chance for a family, all to serve in a fleet that nobody knew existed. Now, finally, that sacrifice would mean something. He opened a secure channel to his squadron commanders scattered across the galaxy. This is Ghost to all Phantom units. Operation Revelation is approved. Begin moving to Earth space. Stay cloaked until the signal. In 30 days, the galaxy learns the truth about humanity. Let's make sure they never forget it. Across the stars, invisible ships began moving toward Earth. The greatest trap in galactic history was being set, and the Kaldrith Imperium was walking right into it. The 30 days passed slowly for most of humanity. News of the alien ultimatum had spread across Earth within hours of the first contact. Some people panicked. Others protested, demanding that Earth fight back. But most simply waited, uncertain and afraid, wondering what would happen to their world. Admiral Sarah Chen spent those 30 days preparing, but not in the way the public thought. While official channels showed diplomatic preparations and surrender ceremonies being planned, she was coordinating something far different. Every day she received coded messages from Oracle. Every day more Phantom ships moved into position. On the 30th day, Vex Thor's fleet returned to Earth space. This time he brought overwhelming force. 300 Kaldrith warships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Each one was massive and covered with weapons that could level cities. They formed a battle formation that stretched across space like a wall of metal and death. Vex Thor opened communications immediately. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he looked at Admiral Chen. Your time is up, human. Has Earth made the wise decision? Sarah stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, surrounded by her crew. Behind her, through the window, she could see Earth hanging in space, blue and green and beautiful. She thought about her grandmother, Director Margaret Chen, who had started all this over a century ago. The old woman had made a bet that one day, humanity would need the Phantom Fleet. Today, that bet would pay off. Commander Vex Thor, Sarah said calmly, before we discuss terms, I have a question. Did you really think we spent 100 years doing nothing? Vex Thor's expression shifted to confusion. What are you talking about, human? We have observed your pathetic expansion, Mars, Europa, a few stations. You have 12 military ships. You are insects pretending to be warriors. Sarah smiled, and it was not a friendly smile. You observed what we wanted you to observe. You saw what we let you see. But you never asked the important question, what were we hiding? Hiding? Vex Thor laughed, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. There is nowhere to hide in space, fool. Our sensors can detect a ship from light years away. Can they detect this? Sarah pressed a button, and the space around Earth suddenly came alive. The first things to appear were mines, thousands of them, scattered throughout the solar system. They had been there the entire time, invisible, waiting. Now they activated, their energy signatures blazing to life. They formed a defensive perimeter around Earth that nothing could cross without being destroyed. Vex Thor's eyes widened. Impossible! We scanned this system completely. There was nothing. You scanned for what you expected to find, Sarah interrupted. You never looked for what you couldn't imagine. Then the ships began to decloak. They appeared one by one at first, then in groups, then in waves. They emerged from behind Jupiter's moons like ghosts becoming solid. They revealed themselves in the asteroid belt, hundreds of them hiding among the rocks. They appeared in the Oort cloud, the distant edge of the solar system where comets were born. They materialized from empty space itself, their cloaking system shutting down to reveal sleek, deadly vessels. Captain Marcus Riley sat in the cockpit of his fighter, the Shadow Strike, and watched his display light up with friendly signals. All around him, his squadron was decloaking. Below him, the massive carrier ship Phantom's Revenge revealed itself, large enough to hold 1,000 fighters like his. "Ghost to all units," Marcus transmitted. "Welcome to the party. Let's show our guests what real military technology looks like." On the Kaldrith flagship, alarms were screaming. Officers shouted in panic as their sensors registered ship after ship appearing from nowhere. Vexthor stared at his display in disbelief. The numbers kept climbing. 100 human ships, 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. "This cannot be real," Vexthor whispered. "Where did they come from? How did we not know?" His tactical officer's voice shook with fear. "Commander, we're detecting over 3,000 enemy vessels. They have us surrounded. Energy readings suggest weapon systems far beyond our technology. They're everywhere, in front of us, behind us, above and below. We're trapped." Sarah's voice came through the communications channel, calm and steady. "You wanted to know if Earth would surrender, Commander Vexthor. Here's our answer. We don't surrender to bullies. We don't bow to empires that threaten innocent worlds. And we certainly don't let anyone tell us we're not good enough to choose our own destiny." Vexthor tried to regain his composure. "You may have more ships than we expected, but the Kaldrith Imperium has been fighting wars for thousands of years. Your primitive technology cannot match our battle experience." "Primitive?" Sarah laughed, and there was steel in her voice. "Let me show you primitive." She gave a signal, and one of the Phantom Fleet's cruisers fired a single weapon. It was called a singularity torpedo, and when it detonated near one of the Kaldrith warships, it created a miniature black hole. The black hole lasted only a second, but that was enough. The gravitational forces ripped the warship's shields apart like paper. The ship wasn't destroyed, the humans were being careful about that, but it was completely disabled, floating dead in space. "That was a warning shot," Sarah said. "We have 2,999 more ships that can do the same thing. Would you like us to demonstrate further?" Vexthor's face had gone pale, his blue skin turning almost white. You have been watching us, learning from us. All this time you knew we were coming." "We've been watching everyone," Sarah confirmed. "We've been mapping the galaxy for over a century while you thought we were stuck on one planet. We have phantom gates that can take us anywhere in seconds. We have cloaking technology that makes us invisible to your sensors. We have weapons that your scientists would need decades to understand. And most importantly, we have patience." Marcus activated his weapon systems, and all around him, thousands of other pilots did the same. The space around Earth lit up with targeting lasers, missile locks, and energy signatures. Every Kaldrith ship suddenly had a dozen Phantom Fleet vessels pointing weapons at it. "Fire one shot." Sarah's voice was cold now. "All business. Make one aggressive move and we will respond. Not by destroying you, we're not like you, Vexthor. We don't casually commit genocide. But we will disable every single ship in your fleet and send you home in escape pods with a message for your Imperium." "What message?" Vexthor asked, his voice barely a whisper. "That Earth is off limits, that humanity is not prey, that we gave you every chance to approach us with respect and peace and you chose mockery and threats instead." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes intense. "You came here thinking you were the strongest power in the galaxy. You're not. You never were. You just never met anyone strong enough to challenge you until now." The Kaldrith fleet hung in space, surrounded and outgunned. Vexthor looked at his tactical display and realized the truth. If he gave the order to attack, his entire fleet would be destroyed in minutes. The humans had positioned their forces perfectly. Every Kaldrith ship was covered from multiple angles. There was no escape, no clever tactic that could save them. "Stand down," Vexthor ordered his fleet, his voice heavy with defeat. "All ships lower your shields and power down weapons." Sarah nodded with satisfaction. "A wise choice, Commander. Now let's talk about what happens next. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals. That's how civilized species communicate." Marcus relaxed slightly in his cockpit but kept his weapons armed. Around him, the Phantom Fleet maintained their positions, a silent statement of power. The galaxy had been watching this confrontation through Vexthor's own broadcasts. Now they were seeing something they never expected. The primitive humans of Earth revealing themselves as perhaps the most advanced military force in known space. On dozens of worlds across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in shock. The species they had ignored or dismissed was suddenly the one everyone feared. The jokes about Earth's tiny fleet died on lips across 1,000 planets. The mockery turned to respect and in some cases terror. Sarah opened a new broadcast, this one directed not at Vexthor but at the entire galaxy. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth. For the past century, humanity has been watching the galactic community from the shadows. We've seen wars, conquests, and empires rise and fall. We've remained hidden because we wanted to understand the universe before revealing ourselves. Today we reveal the truth. Earth is not weak. Humanity is not primitive. We simply chose to appear that way until we were ready. Consider this a message to all civilizations. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war. Approach us with respect and you will find friends. Approach us with threats and you will find the Phantom Fleet. The broadcast ended and silence filled the solar system. 300 Kaldrith warships sat disabled and surrounded. 3,000 human ships held position, their weapons ready but not firing. And across the galaxy the balance of power shifted forever. The next few hours were tense. The Kaldrith fleet remained disabled in Earth space, while Admiral Sarah Chen coordinated with Oracle about the next steps. This was no longer just about defending Earth. The entire galaxy was watching and every decision mattered. Vexthor sat in his command chair, humiliated and confused. His officers moved quietly around him, afraid to speak. They had come expecting a surrender ceremony and easy conquest. Instead, they were prisoners, surrounded by ships that appeared from nowhere and wielding weapons they could barely comprehend. "Commander," his communications officer said hesitantly, "we're receiving messages from the Imperium. The High Council demands an explanation for what happened." Vexthor closed his 4 eyes and took a deep breath. "Tell them the truth. Tell them we severely underestimated the humans. Tell them Earth has technology far beyond ours and a fleet that dwarfs our own. Sir, they won't believe it. They'll think we're making excuses for our failure." "Show them the recordings," Vexthor said tiredly. "Show them everything. Let them see what we're facing." While the Kaldrith dealt with their shock, Sarah was preparing for the next phase. She stood in a secure conference room aboard the Vigilant, speaking with a holographic image that appeared before her. The image showed no face, just a shifting pattern of light. This was Oracle. The fleet performed perfectly. Oracle's voice was calm and gender-neutral, impossible to identify. But now comes the harder part. We must decide what to do with our victory. Sarah nodded. We could destroy the Kaldrith fleet. Send a strong message that Earth cannot be threatened. That would make us conquerors, not defenders, Oracle replied. We would become what we despise. No, Admiral Chen, we must be smarter than that. Then what do you suggest? The light pattern shifted, almost as if Oracle was thinking. We reveal everything, not just our military strength, but our true reach. Let the galaxy know that we've been watching them all along, that we could have attacked anyone, anywhere, but chose not to, that we value peace but are prepared for war. Sarah considered this. That will terrify them. They'll realize we've had access to their space, their secrets, their worlds. Fear can lead to respect, Oracle said. And respect can lead to genuine peace. But there's something else we must do. We must offer the galaxy something they've never had before. Protection without domination. 2 days after the confrontation, Sarah sent a message to the leaders of every major civilization in the known galaxy. She used the same broadcast system that Vexthor had intended to use to show Earth's humiliation. Instead, it became the stage for humanity's true revelation. Leaders of the galactic community, Sarah began, standing on the bridge of the Vigilant with Earth visible behind her through the window. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth. You have all witnessed what happened here. You saw the Kaldrith Imperium come to conquer us and you saw us defend ourselves. But there is more you need to know. Images appeared on screens across the galaxy. They showed phantom gates hidden near inhabited worlds, stealth ships that had been observing alien civilizations for decades, maps of star systems that supposedly hadn't been discovered yet, now revealed to have been explored by humans years ago. For over a century, humanity has been expanding through the galaxy in secret, Sarah continued. We have phantom gates near 200 inhabited star systems, including most of your homeworlds. We have been watching, learning, and preparing. We could have revealed ourselves at any time. We could have attacked anyone we chose, but we didn't. The implications rippled through the watching civilizations like a shockwave. Species that thought themselves powerful realized they had been living next to an invisible giant. The Kaldrith Imperium, which had seemed invincible, now looked weak compared to Earth's hidden strength. Why didn't we reveal ourselves sooner? Sarah asked the question everyone was thinking. Because we wanted to understand the galaxy before joining it. We wanted to see how different species treated each other, how empires rose and fell, how peace was made and broken. We learned a great deal. We learned that the strong often prey on the weak, that empires expand through fear and force, that smaller civilizations live in constant terror of being conquered. She paused, letting her words sink in. We also learned something else. We learned that there are threats out there that the major powers don't even know about, dangers in deep space that we discovered during our explorations. And we learned that many species, especially the smaller ones, desperately need protection but have nowhere to turn. On the Kaldrith flagship, Vexthor watched the broadcast with growing understanding. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were repositioning the entire galactic order. Earth offers the galaxy a choice, Sarah said. We can continue as we were, with empires dominating through force and smaller species living in fear. Or we can create something new. Earth will share our Phantom Gate technology with any civilization that agrees to use it only for defense and exploration, never for conquest. We will protect smaller species from aggression. We will not build an empire, but we will ensure that no one else can build an empire through force either. The conditions were clear. Any species that wanted access to Earth's technology had to agree to strict rules. No wars of conquest. No genocide. No enslaving of other species. Disputes would be settled through negotiation, not violence. And Earth, with its Phantom Fleet, would enforce these rules. To demonstrate our sincerity, Sarah continued, we will begin with the Kaldrith Imperium itself. Vexthor tensed, expecting the worst. The Kaldrith Imperium has conquered 47 star systems, Sarah said. Many of those worlds were taken by force. Their people served the Imperium not by choice, but because they were threatened with destruction. This ends now. Images appeared showing various worlds under Kaldrith control. We have already made contact with the leaders of these vassal states. We have offered them a choice. Remain with the Imperium if they wish or declare independence under Earth's protection. The choice is theirs, not ours, and not the Imperium's. Vexthor felt his world crumbling. If the vassal states left the Imperium, Kaldrith power would collapse overnight. His people would go from galactic power to a minor civilization in days. However, Sarah added, and Vexthor heard a note of hope in her voice, we do not wish to destroy the Kaldrith people. We only wish to end their empire. If the Kaldrith agree to our terms, if they release their vassal states and commit to peaceful coexistence, they will be welcome in this new galactic community. They will have access to our technology, our protection, and our friendship. Sarah looked directly at the camera, and Vexthor felt as if she were looking directly at him. The choice is yours, Supreme Commander Vexithor. You can fight this change and watch your empire crumble through rebellion and resistance, or you can accept it, guide your people through this transition, and help build something better. The broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. In the conference room, Sarah turned to the holographic Oracle. Do you think he'll accept? He will, Oracle replied with certainty. Because he's smart enough to see the alternative. The vassal states are already preparing to declare independence. Some of the Kaldrith's own colonies are questioning why they should follow leaders who led them into such humiliation. Vexthor can either guide this transition or be swept away by it. Oracle was right. 3 hours later, Vexthor sent a message to Earth requesting a private meeting with Admiral Chen. When he appeared on her screen, he looked different. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something almost like respect. Admiral Chen, I wish to discuss terms. I'm listening, Commander. The Kaldrith Imperium will accept your conditions, Vexthor said slowly, as if each word pained him. We will release our vassal states. We will commit to peaceful expansion only. We will join your galactic community. He paused, but I have a request. Go on. Let me be the one to announce it to my people. Let me explain to them that this is not a defeat but an evolution, that we are not being conquered but invited to be part of something greater. His 4 eyes met hers. Give me the chance to help my people accept this change with dignity. Sarah considered this. It would be easy to humiliate the Caldrith further, to parade their defeat, but that would only breed resentment and resistance. Better to give them a path forward that preserved their pride. Agreed, Sarah said. You will announce the new direction for your people. But Commander Vexthor, understand this. We will be watching. If the Caldrith try to rebuild their empire, if you threaten any world again, the Phantom Fleet will respond. Not with genocide, but with the complete dismantling of your civilization's ability to wage war. I understand, Vexthor said. And Admiral? I underestimated you. I underestimated all of humanity. That was my greatest failure as a commander. I will not make that mistake again. After the communication ended, Sarah sat back in her chair, exhausted but satisfied. The hardest part was over. The Caldrith would fall in line, and other civilizations would follow. Not because Earth forced them to, but because the alternative was to be left out of humanity's technological revolution. Marcus Ghost Riley appeared on her screen. Admiral, the fleet is requesting orders. Do we maintain position or begin redeployment? Begin moving ships to the coordinates Oracle provided, Sarah instructed. We have 200 star systems that need protection, and a lot of smaller civilizations that are about to get very nervous about their security. Let's show them that Earth keeps its promises. As the Phantom Fleet began dispersing across the galaxy, Sarah looked out at Earth one more time. Her grandmother had started this journey over a century ago with a simple idea. Prepare in secret, appear weak while becoming strong, and wait for the right moment to reveal the truth. That moment had come, and humanity had not just survived first contact with a hostile empire. They had changed the galaxy forever. 6 months had passed since the Caldrith confrontation at Earth. The galaxy looked very different now. The Caldrith Imperium no longer existed as a conquering force. 23 of their former vassal states had declared independence, and the Caldrith homeworld was adjusting to its new reality as just another member of the galactic community. Vexthor stood in what used to be called the Supreme Commander's office, but now it was simply the ambassador's quarters. He wore civilian clothing instead of his military uniform. The warrior who had come to conquer Earth was now a diplomat working to repair his people's reputation. He looked at a message on his screen from Admiral Sarah Chen. She was inviting him to Earth for a ceremony. 6 months ago, such an invitation would have seemed like mockery. Now it felt like something else entirely. Acceptance. On Earth, preparations were underway for something unprecedented. The first Galactic Council meeting would take place in Geneva, with representatives from over 50 different civilizations attending. But before that formal gathering, there would be another event. Something more personal. Captain Marcus Ghost Riley walked through the halls of Earth Defense Command, still not quite used to being on the ground. He had spent most of his adult life in space, piloting ships that nobody knew existed. Now, at 97 years old, thanks to life extension technology that came with being in the Phantom Fleet, he was a celebrity. News programs wanted to interview him. Children wanted his autograph. He was the most famous pilot in human history, but today wasn't about fame. Today was about remembrance. Sarah Chen stood in a memorial garden that had been created specifically for this occasion. It was located on a hill overlooking the city, with a clear view of the sky above. Carved into black stone were thousands of names. These were the people who had served in the Void Initiative and the Phantom Fleet over the past century. Scientists, engineers, pilots, support staff, people who had given their lives to a mission that nobody knew about until 6 months ago. Admiral Chen, a voice called out. Sarah turned to see Dr. James Okafor approaching. He was 120 years old now, walking with a cane but still sharp-minded. He had lived to see his invention change the galaxy. Dr. Okafor, Sarah greeted him warmly. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't miss this, James said, looking at the memorial wall. These people believed in what we were building. They sacrificed normal lives, families, recognition. They did it so humanity would be ready when the moment came. Sarah nodded. My grandmother's name is on that wall. She never lived to see the plan succeed, but she believed it would. Director Margaret Chen was a remarkable woman, James agreed. She had the vision to see what humanity needed to become. Not conquerors, but guardians. Not an empire, but a force for stability. More people arrived at the memorial garden. Marcus Riley joined them, along with dozens of other Phantom Fleet veterans. Then came the families, people who had lost loved ones to the secret mission and hadn't been able to talk about it until now. Children who grew up not knowing what their parents really did. Spouses who kept secrets for decades. But there were others too. Representatives from the 23 worlds that had gained independence from the Kaldrith. Leaders of smaller civilizations that now felt safe for the first time in centuries. Even a few Kaldrith officials, including Vexthor himself, who had come to pay respects to the humans who had changed everything. Sarah stepped up to a podium that had been set up in the garden. We gather here today to honor those who served in silence. For over a century, these men and women worked in the shadows, building something extraordinary. They couldn't tell their families what they were doing. They couldn't receive public recognition. They simply had to believe that their work mattered. She paused, looking at the names on the wall. They were right. Their work did matter. Because of them, humanity was ready when we were threatened. Because of them, we could defend ourselves without becoming the thing we feared. Because of them, the galaxy is changing for the better. Marcus stepped forward to speak next. His voice was strong despite his age. I spent 80 years flying ships that nobody knew existed. I explored star systems that weren't on any map. I trained for a war that I hoped would never come. He looked at the crowd. But I was never alone. Every pilot, every engineer, every person who served in the Phantom Fleet was part of something bigger than themselves. We were building a future where humanity could stand proud, where we could protect the weak instead of joining the strong and preying on them. Vexthor was the last to speak, and his presence at the podium surprised many in the crowd. The former Supreme Commander of the Kaldrith Imperium looked uncomfortable but determined. I came to Earth 6 months ago expecting to conquer it, he began, his 4 eyes scanning the crowd. I mocked your civilization. I laughed at your apparent weakness. I made the greatest mistake a military commander can make. I judged you by what I could see, not by what you were capable of. He gestured to the memorial wall. These people understood something that the Kaldrith Imperium, in all our thousands of years of history, never grasped. True strength isn't about dominating others. It's about being strong enough to choose peace when you could choose war. Being powerful enough to protect instead of conquer. Being wise enough to appear weak until the moment you need to be strong. Vexthor's voice grew softer. The Kaldrith destroyed worlds that resisted us. We thought that made us powerful. But humanity showed us real power. You could have destroyed my fleet. You could have invaded our worlds. You could have done to us what we did to others. But you didn't. You offered us a chance to change, to be better. That takes more strength than any weapon. After the ceremony, people mingled in the garden. Sarah found herself talking with representatives from a small civilization called the Pre. They were an insect-like species that had been hiding from larger powers for centuries, terrified of being discovered and enslaved. Admiral Chen, their representative, speaking through a translator device, clicked and buzzed. Your Phantom Fleet has been protecting us without us even knowing. For 3 years, you stopped raids on our outer colonies. You made pirates and raiders disappear. We thought we were just lucky. Now we know the truth, Sarah smiled. Earth believes that all civilizations have the right to develop freely without fear. The Pre were one of 14 species we were quietly protecting while we remained hidden. Why? The Pre representative asked. You gained nothing from it. We couldn't even thank you because we didn't know you were there. We did it because it was right, Sarah replied simply, and because we hoped that one day when we revealed ourselves, we could build a galaxy where everyone did what was right, not just what was profitable. Later that evening, Sarah stood with Oracle in a secure room. The holographic presence shimmered before her. For the first time, Oracle revealed itself fully. The image resolved into 3 figures. An elderly human woman, a middle-aged man, and something else. A digital consciousness that appeared as patterns of light. You've done well, Admiral Chen, the woman said. Sarah recognized the voice as one of Oracle's tones. Was it you 3 all along? Sarah asked. Running the Void Initiative? We are what remains of the original founders, the man explained. When Director Margaret Chen started this program, she knew it would need to last beyond any human lifetime. So she created us, a council of human minds preserved digitally, combined with an artificial intelligence designed to think in centuries, not years. The digital presence spoke, its voice the 3rd tone Oracle used. We guided humanity's expansion. We made the hard choices. We kept the secret even when it seemed unbearable. Also, this moment could happen. What happens now? Sarah asked. Now that the secret is out? Now that the galaxy knows about us? Now, The elderly woman said. Humanity must live up to what we promised. We must be the guardians we claimed we would be. We must protect the weak, prevent the strong from conquering, and show the galaxy that there's a better way. And Oracle? Sarah asked. What happens to you? We will remain, the three spoke in unison. Advising, guiding, but no longer controlling. Humanity must choose its own path now. We simply ensured you had the strength to walk that path safely. The hologram faded, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts. 2 weeks later, the first Galactic Council met on Earth. 53 civilizations sent representatives. They came not as subjects to an empire, but as partners in something new. The Council had no emperor, no supreme leader. Instead, decisions would be made collectively, with Earth's Phantom Fleet serving as enforcers of the rules everyone agreed to follow. Marcus Riley led the first joint patrol, a squadron of ships from 12 different species flying together under Earth's tactical coordination. They traveled to the galactic core, exploring regions that had been too dangerous for any single civilization to investigate alone. Vexthor took his place as the Kaldrith ambassador, working alongside the species his people had once conquered. It was humbling work, but he found it more satisfying than commanding armies. He was building something instead of destroying it. And on Earth, in the Memorial Garden, families of the fallen finally learned what their loved ones had died for. They saw that the sacrifices had meaning, that a century of secrecy had resulted in a galaxy where their children and grandchildren could live without fear of alien conquest. Sarah Chen stood at her window looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 3,000 Phantom Fleet ships kept watch, protecting worlds that most humans had never heard of. Phantom gates connected civilizations that were learning to cooperate instead of compete. And humanity, the species that was mocked as primitive just 6 months ago, had become the guardians of galactic peace. She thought about her grandmother, who had started this with a simple idea. Prepare in secret, appear weak while becoming strong, and wait for the right moment. That moment had come and gone. Now came the harder work of maintaining what they had built. But as Sarah looked at the stars, she felt confident. Humanity had proven it could keep secrets for a century. It could build fleets in the shadows. It could appear weak while being strong. Now it just had to prove it could use that strength wisely. The galaxy was watching, and this time they were watching with respect.